I'm very excited about this podcast episode, and you are just about ready to hear why. My guest, Sara Davenport, is a former TV anchor, and this was just such a fun episode to record. Not only are there so many golden nuggets and a lot of information wrapped into this episode, but Sara's just really upbeat and energetic, and she's an incredible storyteller. If you are a midlife woman, an entrepreneur, or you want to be, or maybe you struggle with LinkedIn and how to tell stories and how to do it authentically, you won't want to miss this episode because Sara helped me so much this year. I actually call her Sister Sara. So here's the official bio before we dive in. I thought it would be really important for you to learn more about her and her background story. Sara Davenport is an Emmy award-winning TV anchor who spent 2 decades working for NBC. While this Houston-based journalist loved being on camera, and she still does, she loved being an on-camera storyteller, she knew she wasn't a present parent. She was tired of chasing hurricanes and breaking news, and instead wanted to chase her 4 little boys. After years of anchoring the news in front of 4 million people a day, Sara pivoted from her high-profile life and began to design a life she loved. Sara broke out of full-time TV to become a brand ambassador for a wellness company. She trained on stages for as many as 18,000 people while traveling the world to open up new markets for the brand. Telling stories from the stage became her passion. And as she inspired countless audiences worldwide, she became passionate about creating multiple streams of income. Sara didn't just want to stop there. She used her writing and her storytelling skills to build both a LinkedIn marketing agency and a course for entrepreneurs called the Storyteller's Experience. And that's what I took. It's amazing. Sara loves to help clients create content that truly converts, as she knows that the content with heart is key, especially today. In doing so, Sara scaled her business to nearly $500,000 in less than 1 year without paying for one single ad. She now teaches others to do the same. Sara finds joy running her mobile global business alongside her very busy family life. And when she's not creating content and teaching storytelling, you will find Sara and her family wakeboarding and enjoying weekends at their river home, making memories with those she loves. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into this episode. I hope you have as many golden takeaways as I did. It has been just such a blessing to get to know Sara, and I'll put everything here in the show notes so that you can connect with her. So grab that warm cup of coffee. Let's dive in. Hello, Redlow women. Welcome back to the podcast. How are you today? I'm so grateful you're here. I'm your host, Terry Mullen, and I'm here to offer a little bit of inspiration in your day and to empower you and to help you reclaim your confidence, embrace your voice, define your path, lead with courage, and own who you are now in this season of life. So grab that warm cup of coffee and let's step forward together. Let's go. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Redlow Women podcast. I am so excited about my guest today. You are going to just be blessed and learn so much from her. I actually met Sara through another program that I took, and she led some of the classes. You're going to hear why. She's an amazing storyteller, and she's very talented. She has a 6 to 7 figure business, probably going to be 7-figure by the end of the year. She's a CEO, a media mentor, and she has multiple streams of income. But all of that, she is an amazing storyteller. You're going to hear why. I actually took her course called the Storyteller's Experience that just ended, and just wow. I love writing, but I kind of suck at the business stuff, and Sara has taught me how to make it fun. So without further ado, welcome, Sara Davenport. Thank you so much for being here. It's such a blessing and gift. Thank you.
Oh, Terry, I'm so excited to be here. And you know that storytelling is my passion. So anytime I can talk about it, I get excited.
Well, awesome. Well, let's dive into it because, as I mentioned in the bio, you have an incredibly fascinating background, lots of things that led you here to where you are now. So tell the listeners, they're midlife women who are aspiring entrepreneurs and or are entrepreneurs, and you are a perfect example of that. So share kind of your journey, who you are, and a little bit about your background. Let's start there.
Love to. All right. So I'm a former television anchor. I actually worked for NBC for over a decade, and it was my dream job. So I grew up in the industry, which is a little bit different. My mom and Oprah started in the 1970s. So I literally grew up in the industry. And I saw my mom cover the most amazing stories. She interviewed presidents, she interviewed movie stars, she interviewed the Pope in the '80s. I have a picture of my mom and the Pope
Wow.
together. Crazy.
Wow.
Um, so she really instilled upon me the importance of connecting with people through their story. When you take time to sit and stop and listen to someone else's story, you'll always find some type of common denominator.
Mhm.
Uh, and so that is something I loved. I remember as a kid, I would put all my stuffed animals up together and I would get out a microphone and I would interview them and they wouldn't talk back, but boy, did I pretend they had the greatest stories. So I've always loved storytelling. And when I left TV news in my mid 30s, I left because I wanted to be a present parent. And I left because honestly, I was tired of ambulance chasing, tired of the 3 a.m. shift. I was tired of chasing hurricanes. I was tired of being tired. And it was because it was no longer true storytelling, like back in the era of 60 Minutes, for those of us in midlife, like remember 60 Minutes and like appointment TV. I used to sit down and eat dinner every night and watch the news, partially because my mom was anchoring the news, but that's what people used to do, right? Back in the day.
Right.
And today, storytelling is so fast paced. It's anyone with an iPhone thinks they can do it, and some can. They jump on, and now we have influencers, and we just have, honestly, a lot of noise out there. And that's when I decided there's got to be a different way that we can connect with whoever our ideal clients are without being like everybody else. And instead,
Mm.
going internally, figuring out what our story is and how to connect with others and their stories.
Yeah. And that's what makes you really gifted and unique. Like I was saying earlier that, when I've hopped on some of the master classes that you do, and you'll be in the backseat of your truck doing the stuff. You were on the lake and it was starting to get dusk and you're like, okay, and you just make it all work. And I think, and what made it fascinating and fun for us was like, wow, this is so different than anything anybody else is doing. But you bring that storytelling part of you to everything you do. You bring it in your business and your family and to all of us that get the opportunity to work with you. And it's just such a gift. It's such a different approach, Sarah, in that I think where we are, and I was going to save this question till last, but I kind of want to do this next and we'll move back up. But I know how you feel about ChatGPT. And so with all these large language models coming into play. And I'm a writer. You wrote a book too, right? And so now you did a really fun post. I called you Sister Sarah. Preach it, Sister Sarah,
Love it.
because of your take on it. But share a little bit about why storytelling, telling your authentic story is so important versus relying on these large language models that kind of take our brain away and that authenticity. So go ahead and dive in. I don't want to take that from you because it's a really
Yeah.
powerful approach.
Well, and that post that I made on LinkedIn was about how all these people are writing books today and they're using ChatGPT. And in 4 days, they're publishing books. And now they're these big time authors on Amazon.
Right.
No, that's where I was like, I'm sorry, that's fraudulent. That's plagiarism in my mind. Sure, you fed it some ideas. Oh,
Right.
I gave it a lot of different prompts and it came up with it, just made my ideas better. No, your ideas may have been 3 or 4 pages long, and now that's 200 pages long thanks to Chat or Claude or whatever AI you're using. To me, and honestly, it goes back to we would never, if we plagiarized in school, are you kidding me? We would have been kicked out. Like, you can't do that. You can't take someone else's words, copy and paste. Well, that's what I'm seeing, right? I see that in books that are going out. I see it a ton on social media right now. Um, I even see, it's fine to reshare someone else's posts if it was credited to them, like, oh, my friend said this and I wanted to reshare it. But now it's literally copy and paste, and so where's the authenticity? Where's the truth in that? Where's the realness in that? And I really, really, truly have seen it, kind of, creep into LinkedIn. I'm like, "Don't do that to my LinkedIn." I love LinkedIn. It's my favorite social media party to hang out at, and people think I'm nuts, but it just Instagram wasn't for me anymore. It just was
Mm.
so, I don't know, fake and, or influencer heavy. Everyone's selling something. I feel like I'm being pushed into one thing or another. Facebook is the highlight reel. No one's sharing
Right.
behind the scenes. On LinkedIn, here's a little secret for people. LinkedIn loves the behind the scenes. LinkedIn
Mm.
loves reality. In fact, the algorithm loves it and it boosts it massively. So when you share something with depth, with heart, with emotion, it goes through the roof on LinkedIn. And so I think this is a time right now, 2025, 2026, and beyond, the more that you are real and truly
Mhm.
writing out the tough times, the tough stuff, whatever it is that connects you to your ideal clients out there, you're going to be seen more and more because so many people are relying heavily on that chat GPT kind of, it's crap in my mind.
Yeah,
It's a shortcut, it's crap. And the thing is, the more you use it, the harder it becomes to write because you're comparing yourself to what's been spit out by this computer. And you're like, oh, it's not as good. I'll just go to chat or Claude or whatever, and I'll type it in and it'll make it better. No,
right.
be you. And they did, I actually
Mm,
read something that by 2028, they expect over 80% of content to be AI generated on social media. So
wow.
what does that mean? It's all gonna sound the same. It's like word salad. Like, it's great reporting, it's interesting, but you don't feel anything because AI doesn't have a soul. So if you learn how to write and you learn how to be real on social media, you're going to stand out massively. So I actually see this time over the next couple of years a great advantage for those of us who want to truly be storytellers
Mm,
and truly find a way to connect with our ideal audience as entrepreneurs. You can do it as long as you be careful not to go all in on this AI stuff. Now, again, AI, great. There's great, great tools. I mean, there are some amazing things. I love AI for so many things. It helps me with my SOPs for my business. It helps me run reports for, key performance indicator. Like, some great tools, but not for writing. I really don't believe
mm.
it should be something that we're trying to spit out and pretend like it's our own.
I love that so much. I just heard Arthur Brooks say AI is left brain. So use it for strategy and planning and things like that. It's not right brain. It's not a
Mm,
soul. Don't use
mm,
it as your
I love
therapist
that.
or to write creatively. So isn't that powerful? It just made me
Yeah.
think of you. But one of the gifts for me that you've been in my life, like I felt I was so intimidated. So the person listening in, I know you love LinkedIn and you can share even a little bit more about why. But for someone like me that felt so intimidated by it, right? How do you step into this to show up completely authentically, make the typos? Woohoo, I'm queen of typos.
I love a good typo.
Right? Right? I mean, and you inspire me to do that and be a little bit bold, be a little bit disruptive, right? So to stand out, speak to the midlife woman here who's kind of diving into this, going on LinkedIn. What do you love about it so much? What makes it so great for those of us starting our businesses, right?
Yes. So let me go back to when I was starting my businesses. So I was,
Oh
I
yeah,
stayed in
perfect.
television for a long time. When I got out, I decided to get into investigative reporting. You'll still find me on true crime shows. I still do those, occasionally throughout the year. And have worked for a large wellness company and helped them open up new markets. So that's what I've been doing once I left television. But I
Mm,
just felt a call to really connect with these TV news people who I knew hated the industry. I mean, Terry, you saw,
mm,
after the election, between elections, just all the news in the world, it's depressing. It is the same. Nothing ever really changes. I felt like I was ambulance chasing. I felt I was chasing hurricanes. I felt it was like I would go to work, Terry. This is a horrible story, but I would go to work 2 a.m. I anchored the 5 to 7 a.m. show for NBC in Houston. I go to work at 2 in the morning. I walk into my producers. I go, how many stabbings and shootings? They go, slow night, 4. I'm like, that's it. Okay. Wait a minute. Like, what? Like, how? There's something wrong with me that suddenly I'm so desensitized that 4 people have lost their life. And I'm like, slow night in Houston. That's an issue. That's when I actually knew I had to get out. I'm like, where is my humanity going? So many
wow.
in TV are starting to wake up going, this isn't what television used to be. This isn't, again, like the 60 minutes back in the day. Like, where is real long form journalism? So they wanted to leave. So I got on LinkedIn just to kind of share my experiences. I told stories on there that nobody was telling. People were too
Mm,
afraid to say because I also knew when I told these, I was burning some bridges, but
mm,
I was going all into being an entrepreneur. I wasn't going back to the corporate rat race. I wasn't going back to work for NBC or CBS or ABC. No. So I told the truth and I was
mm.
vulnerable and I was real. And Oh my gosh, the number of people jumping in my DMs going, like, "I totally agree with you." Like, I can like, what you're saying is, like, connecting with my heart and my head, like, "Oh, help me. Like, how did you get out? Help me." And I'm like, "Oh, huh. Interesting. I'm not really sure just yet." And more people kept coming to me, and I realized these TV people need to get out of television. And just by storytelling, Terry, my business was born. I never intended
Wow.
to start the Breaking Out of Breaking News Academy. I didn't intend to become a career transition coach for the TV industry. And yet, here I was. So I quickly dove in, learned everything I could, hired some folks from HR, hired some resume writers. I'm like, okay, let's go in on this together. And we built up this amazing business helping TV newsies design a life they love outside of
Mm,
news. I've never once paid for a Facebook ad. I've never once
wow.
for 1 ounce of marketing, not one. And I hit 6 figures in the first 9 months of that business without paying for one ad. So it just shows you that LinkedIn can be the place to be seen. And most people think,
Mm,
oh, you got to go to Instagram. Most entrepreneurs are like Instagram or Facebook. Facebook or those were great in around 2020, 2019,
right,
2020.
right,
Instagram was great until everyone started selling something and it's just constant over there. I
right.
love LinkedIn because this is where the decision makers are. This is where
Mm,
professionals are. This is where, interestingly, the average income of people who are on LinkedIn are over 6 figures. So, no
wow.
matter what it is that you have to offer, a service or a business, the people you want most likely are on LinkedIn. On Instagram, the average income's in the 40,000s area. LinkedIn,
Mm,
100,000 plus. Like, that's
wow.
where people are that can afford what I'm offering, and the decision makers are there, and the discussions are different, Terry, and
Yes.
being over there, they're thought leaders. They're writing posts that make you think, that are intriguing. It's not like, "Oh, look at me," which is Instagram and Facebook, and I was tired. I mean, I'm in my 50s. I don't wanna be out there going, "Look at this and dance to this," and that is not who I am, and I felt
Right.
I was not a fraud, but I felt like I was just not being authentic to myself, trying to keep
Yeah.
up on Instagram. So,
Yeah.
ditched it. I moved over to LinkedIn 100%, and then others came to me saying, "Well, how do you do what you do?" Or, "I don't have time to do it. Can you just write my content?" So I started a LinkedIn marketing agency. The cool thing is
Right.
100% run by TV newsies. So those newsies I was helping to leave the industry, I either helped them get a job or honestly, I hired the best of the best to come work with me over on my
It's
marketing
amazing.
agency. And so there are writers and they work behind the scenes in my marketing agency. So it really has been an amazing, I guess it's been 3 years now, and we will cross that 7 figure mark. And again, 100% without spending a dime on advertising. It's just LinkedIn.
That's just incredible, Sarah. And you're just such an inspiration for me. First of all, I love it because you're in Texas, but um, but just you're just such a great role model for how to do this, how to do it authentically. I mean, you do show up authentically, and you teach others how to do that. And I love kind of how you even teach people how to do the hooks and things like that. And now, you're running these big accounts for other people that can afford to have you do that, which is just incredible. I don't know.
Those who really and I always wanna encourage people, even if you're like, "Oh gosh, I couldn't do that, so how am I gonna learn?" A lot of it is you could just start by getting on LinkedIn and seeing who do you connect with? Whose stories resonate with you that are posting, and then follow them. Watch what they're doing. How are they telling stories? Are they showing up often? Are they showing up authentically? What is it that is drawing you to them? Most likely, they're being honest. They're being real.
Mm,
It's not some code they're following for LinkedIn that like ChatGPT code of like, oh, write this with 3 words in a row with an M dash and all the silly stuff. Instead, they're just telling stories from the heart. One of the biggest keys of telling stories on LinkedIn is to tell a story that your audience will relate to. Because I know when we first started, Terry, when we were working together in our storytellers experience, you were like, well, what about, we all have stories. Let's say you have a story of Christmas morning and you went down and your brother had more gifts than you. And you were so disappointed. Okay, like maybe some people can relate to that, maybe some can't. But what is it? What if we take that story of, I'm just off the top of my head. You went
I
down
love this
Christmas
when you do
morning.
this.
We had Christmas morning and, learning disappointment from an early age, and going, okay, but finding the joy in it. And really, even though you had fewer gifts, the gift you had was the one that you had been wanting for years. And he got lots of, little Legos and crap you didn't want anyway, but you got the one. And so while you had that initial disappointment, you didn't let it overshadow because then you came to find out, oh, this is actually what I wanted. Right. So maybe that story would relate to your audience. Or, there's so many different ways your stories can relate, but don't tell a story that won't relate. Right. I mean, I have a story where I actually went parasailing in Switzerland and it scared me to death jumping off this ledge. So the jumping off the ledge part, but if I just talked about parasailing in Switzerland, most people would go, that's so cool. I've never done it. And they don't relate. So, what stories do you have in your background that are relatable to your ideal client? That there is a result where they go, oh, I need that. Or, oh, I've been there and she got through it or she got out of it. And I need to work with them. Because when you tell a story in a way that ties their head, where they understand it with their heart, with emotion, it hits them between the eyeballs and they go, I got to work with her.
Mhm. And you also have said, like, you're not really overly selling at all. You're telling stories and
Mhm.
really connect. The other thing I love that you say is that, people very few people actually post, and then the people that actually might even wanna work with you, they just might be watching, but for you especially, you shared, they're in your DMs. They're
Oh,
like, "I've been
yes.
following you." They're afraid probably to say something because they don't wanna call
Yeah.
themselves out that they don't like their job, but they're in the
Yeah.
DM saying, "Oh, tell me more, I hate this," right?
Well,
So
and that's how you know when you're being successful. So
yeah.
people think it's all about the likes and the comments. And to some extent, it is because then the content you're writing is connecting, right? So if you're writing content on LinkedIn and you're getting 2 likes and the impressions say like 100, which means like 100 sets of eyeballs saw it. That's it. Only 100 people saw it. It might not be actually working. So we might need to change your writing, your hooks. We might need to change where we do a double hook, which is where the picture ties in with the top line. There are a lot of different techniques. But, on Instagram, everyone's like live and die by how many followers they have and how viral it went. It doesn't matter. I have, actually a guy that I'm working with right now, he's an attorney, and we've been writing posts with him. He's getting 1,000, 1,500. Well, he suddenly got one that hit 30,000. I mean, it just
Mhm.
took off. But the key, the true success wasn't the 30,000, is that his inbox was flooded going, oh my gosh, I've been trying to figure this out. How do you do this? We've got to connect. We got to get on a call. Where's your website? How do I book a call? I mean, it was nonstop. So it's funny that happened on October 30th. And within less than 10 days, he had over 27 calls booked. So 27 people saying they wanted to work with him. He charges $9,000 a month. Okay. If
Wow.
27, let's say only 10 of them work with him, right? That's $90,000 a month that he will bring in from one post on LinkedIn. And the reason it was seen is because what you said, only 6% of people post. There are over a billion people on LinkedIn, but only 6% consistently post. And so for a long time, for 5 months, he was posting and posting. He's like, is this ever gonna work? But it reminds me of, do you remember Jiffy Pop popcorn? Right? You'd
Yeah.
have that and you put it over the stove and you'd shake it and there's nothing happening. And you're shaking, nothing. What am I doing? And all of a sudden it's pop. And you're like, oh, okay. And you shake it a little more. Pop, pop. And you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden it's pop, 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 and this huge thing of popcorn. That's what happens on LinkedIn when you stay consistent. Most people quit before the first pop because they're shaking it and they're like, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. And going back to Instagram. Really, where everyone else is, where no one else is standing out, you have to stay true to the platform on LinkedIn. It will pay off. You will get better at writing your posts the longer you're on there. You'll get better with your hooks. And if not, there are many people out there that can help you. My I guess superpower is helping you with the story and finding what
Mhm.
that hook is to help you connect with your ideal audience, right? And so once you do that and you hear the pop, 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 there's no turning back because then the
Mhm.
algorithm's like, "Oh, you are someone people need to see," and they start pushing it out more and more, and then your calendar stays booked and booked. The funny thing is, and here's something not to do, Terry, don't do this.
Okay.
Um, I had some big viral posts go like crazy. People were jumping in my DMs, and I was so overwhelmed, I stopped posting on LinkedIn because I couldn't handle any more business. And then 3 months later, I go back and I'm back to shaking it again. I'm like, wait.
Oh, wow.
So when you start getting people reaching out, because anyone who's listening, if you are on LinkedIn and you stay consistent long enough, it will happen. When it happens, don't stop, right? Because that's what I did. I
Wow.
pulled it off the fire and I stopped. So don't make that mistake.
Wow. Oh, that's such good advice. And I love the metaphor about the Jiffy Pop popcorn. I'm not gonna forget that. Like, okay, I gotta
Good.
stay in the game and keep that popcorn going.
Good.
Um, that's just so great, Sarah. I can't say enough about what you do and with your course. And then, I don't know a lot about the other aspect where you manage these accounts, but I know you've had incredible growth because you shared all that with us and what happens kind of behind the scenes. And you've got lots of little secrets and things that you teach everybody. So anyone listening in, reach out to Sarah. I'm going to put all the information here in the show notes because it's just fascinating. One of the things I wanted to dive in just a little bit, you have these 3 businesses, I think 3, is that correct? You're multi-passionate and you've got these different streams of income. And we were talking about what it's like for someone starting this business. Because I think a lot of the gurus teach everybody, oh, it's so easy. You just show up online and you just start and blah, 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 blah. And they don't really go deep into, I mean, you're an entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur journey is challenging. You're going to have highs and lows. It's lonely. It's all the things. Have you experienced with your rapid growth that you had where you hit 5 or 6 figures in 9 months and
Mhm.
now to 7 figures? Um, have you had moments where you've had that kind of messy middle where it's stalled
Oh,
out or it's been hard or you wanted to quit, Kind of share if you have what that's like and how to step beyond that.
It's funny because I have, and just as you're saying that, it reminded me what happened was the same Jiffy Pop popcorn example. So my business was, I had so many people coming into it from all different angles. So my TV newsies that I'm helping to find a job outside of TV news, my LinkedIn marketing agency, my storytellers experience. I mean, so much was happening. It was, pop, 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 pop. And I pulled the Jiffy Pop off. I went, okay, let's just work where we are. And I put my head down and I worked without looking up to think, oh, well, what happens when my storytellers learn storytelling and I launch them off and they're going to be successful on their own? Or when my TV newsies get a job and they don't need me anymore? Because suddenly then you're like, oh, wait, I forgot to keep marketing my own business. And again, I don't pay for marketing. I don't do Facebook ads or anything else, but it's just the simple, easy thing of posting on LinkedIn. I had stopped that again. I would stop prospecting. So we were hitting about $40,000 a month is what we were bringing in revenue,
Wow.
and that was just in one of my 3 businesses. So 40,000 a month, and then all of a sudden I looked up and I went, "Oh, it's 15,000 this month." That's a huge drop, a huge drop.
Mm,
I still am absolutely thankful and so grateful for the income and for the blessings that were poured upon us during that time and that still are even at 15,000. But I went, "Oh no, what happened?" I'm like, "I can't take the popcorn off the stove." So I had to go back to
yeah.
it, right? And shake, and then finally it
Yeah.
started regrowing. So that messy middle, it happens to everyone. For me,
Mhm.
truly, I've found it twice in my business, and both times I just got excited to dive in and just work on my business.
Mm.
I'm sorry, work in my business, and I wasn't
Yeah.
working on my business. So I
Yep.
was deep in it. That's when I also realized, okay, I might need to hire some people, which was crazy because the revenue went from 40,000 down to 15, and now you're going to hire. But I realized if I wanted to hit that and go beyond it, I had to not relinquish control, but find others who had strengths that I didn't. Find others who had
Mm.
found joy in things that I didn't find joy in, right? And let them go do that. I am not a techie person at all. At all.
Mm.
I'm just
You're
not.
not?
No, I am not a techie person.
Oh, you're
I'm a
so good at
reporter's
this.
notebook with a pen, like and so I needed to find people who were the techie people, the back end people, right? I needed to find people who were great with follow up because
Mm.
I get so excited about one person all in. I'm like, oh, wait, I was told that person I was going to find that. It just, it's wonderful when that avalanche of blessings come and all these people were pouring into my business that I was having trouble keeping track because I am also not. I don't have a really strong organizational system. I get like, okay, here, look, this is what my dash
I lo
it literally
Oh, I
says
love you.
dashboard. I am an old school paper person. but
You are Jesse Itzler,
I totally
the
am,
big ass
and I've
calendar.
had his calendar, I totally have. But I knew I needed to get people who were that way, and in doing so, that would free me up to lean into my genius and my superpower again as a storyteller and as a writer, so I could get back on LinkedIn, writing again, and start the machine over. So, I
Mm,
guess my advice in that would be, don't take the Jiffy Pop off the stove, right?
mhm,
Maybe just, don't shake it as much, like, keep shaking it, but not as much, right? And also realize that if it gets overwhelming, you've got to hire out, and you wanna start
mm,
hiring out before the overwhelm comes, and, even if it's just with a virtual assistant to start with,
right.
I don't do the international virtual assistants through, like, Fiverr and those things. I find there's too many issues with, time differences,
Mm,
language differences, and especially when it comes to writing, I need someone who is,
yep,
to think and write and dream in the same language that I'm in, right? So
right.
for me, I just found people, some of them locally in my own city, and then I started finding people throughout the states that I could hire. And we now have a team of 9, I think, of us. Not, yeah,
Wow,
9
Sarah.
who work together on in my businesses, and it's so much
Mm,
fun, Terry. But I will tell you, when I was in that dip, it was so not fun. But then you gotta
yeah.
get back to the basics, right? And go, "Okay, what was I doing well before things started to change? I need to get
Mm.
back to that."
It's just such great advice, and I love your advice about the, VA, the virtual assistants abroad. I've had, people that I teach their podcasting that hire, and there's a whole issue when there's a language. They cut out things when they're editing that they shouldn't have because they don't understand the language. So it can be a barrier. I mean, not for everything. Be mindful when you're writing and doing podcasts and things like that. It does matter
It
because
does.
there can be a language barrier. That's just such great advice. I think at least for those of us that try to do so much ourselves, to hire out probably sooner than later is what we need to do. Hire someone like you to manage the things that we don't want to do, or just our time suck. And I think what's really great too, just kind of referencing back to LinkedIn that I think you've shared too, is just that you don't have to show up every single day like some of these other algorithms, you get to actually be in your business or on it, not just swirling around in it and posting and being an influencer. So I love that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Um, share share a fun fact about you. I know you also have a book that you wrote. Can people get that on Amazon?
They
That-
can. In fact, they're 2 different books.
oh,
Um,
really?
one, yes. So they're both books that I have co-authored, which is so fun. So one is called Living All Out, and that was the one that was the most, recent one, and then the other one, in fact, I have it right here, I was gonna pull it up, hang on.
Oh,
It's called All Out Impact, and it's this one right here. So All
oh,
Out.
I see. That's the one I usually see in the back of your desk
Yes,
there.
yes, yes.
That's awesome.
All Out Impact. So those are 2 great books about, it's actionable advice for entrepreneurs on how to kinda take that next leap. So yes, they are both on Amazon, and I am going to be working on my next book, which will be, I will solo author, and that really is kind of my life story. I have a very different story growing up with my mom, anchoring the news in Philly and Chicago, and like I said, started with Oprah and the
Oh,
in the '90s, what the industry was like back then. Like, the news helicopter used to land on our front lawn. I've got pictures of the Action 10 News chopper from Philly landing on our front lawn to take my mom to breaking news, right? She used to get 9 weeks of vacation. They flew her, I remember our whole family we went to Ireland for the St. Patty's Day parade in Ireland because my mom was doing a whole thing on, like, the differences of St. Patrick's Day in Philadelphia versus in Ireland, and we all got to go, and we got to fly these
wow.
little planes, like private jets around. I mean, this is the stuff that CBS used to pay for back in the day. Very different from today. The Just the wild experiences of being on a hot
Mm,
air balloon. A hot air balloon landed also on our front lawn once, and we ran out to see who all it was, and there were these sweet ladies, it was their 60th birthday, and they all recognized my mom. Like, "Diana, Diane, hop in, come with us." My mom's like, "No, no, I'm still in my pajama and robe." It's like 8 a.m. And I said, "Mom, I'll go." She's like, "Okay." So I hop in. We lift off into the air. My mom realized, I don't know who these women are. I just sent my 8-year-old daughter in a hot air balloon with a bunch of ladies that I don't even know what their names are. My parents jumped in the car and they're trying to chase the balloon to see where we would land. So crazy stories like that, but I got
Ah,
really neat experiences because of my mom's, I guess because everybody knew who she was. She was a household name, but I also knew the downsides of it. And when I
yeah.
grew up, people would either introduce me as, "Oh, that's Diane Allen's daughter, Sarah," or "This is my friend Sarah Allen." And I knew the difference. And so I
Ah,
didn't want my kids to be the same because I saw it starting to happen to my 4 children. And people wanted to be their
mm,
friend because, "Oh, their mom's on TV." I was like, "Oh, no, 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 mm-mm." And I also knew what my mom missed, right? She missed a lot
yeah,
anchoring the 6 and 11 o'clock news in Philly, and I
yeah.
wanted to be a present parent, which is eventually what led me to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I just love that. I know I've heard you tell the stories that you how many Christmases and holidays that you missed, as a result. So it just as you're telling the story, it just makes me think about Hollywood. Like that's gone too. And like the news that way, we watch shootings, you watch Charlie Kirk, not that we need to go down that road, but
Yeah.
that's where sensationalism has gone so far that I mean, I don't even watch it anymore. I can't. I just can't. So I just appreciate your perspective on that too, and it's soul sucking in many ways for those watching, and I think for those of you that have been in the industry as well. So anyway, I love what you're doing now. I
No,
love the
I do too.
storytelling. It's so light and uplifting and empowering, and it makes all of us feel so great. And look at the impact that you're having. You've had an incredible impact on me. And I was thinking before we hopped on this call, like if I lived in Austin, I would be driving to your house and having a cup of coffee with you.
Yes, we absolutely would. I would love that. We would love that.
So, tell I know some fun facts about you, but, I know you've got kind of a hard stop here. We had some technical difficulties starting out. Sounds like the news, doesn't it? Technical difficulties.
That's right.
Um,
Gotta roll with
but
them.
yep, but tell some fun facts about yourself that you would like the audience to know that because you have a really cool background. So, what would you like
Fun
us to
facts,
know?
there's so many different ones. So I played Division I tennis in college, and I played on the European circuit for a while, so that's kind of something a lot of people don't know. And so I kinda make tell my kids all the time, I'm like, "Listen, I'm the only Division I athlete in the family." Now, my dad played soccer, Division I soccer. My grandfather played soccer at Penn State, also Division I.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's sort of funny. So now I have a high school senior, and he's like, I am going to play high school. I'm going to play college baseball, Division I. So we're
Uh,
on that path right now. So I have a bunch of athletes. My boys are all athletes, all four of them. My tallest one, here's an interesting fact, 6'5". A second one
wow.
is 6'3.5". I've got one that is 6'3", and then the baby is 5'7", and he's only 12. So he's gonna be
Wow.
on us as well. So, yeah, they're very,
Wow.
very tall boys, and they're all athletes, and I've spent my life on the sides of sports fields and basketball fields and lacrosse fields and baseball fields, and my kids have grown up under the bleachers, and I wouldn't trade it for, the world because that's why
Mm.
I left news. I wanted to be there for the big things and for the little things, and I couldn't do it in TV news.
I love that so much. And
Mm,
that's my heartbeat too. That's how I ended up back in this. I stayed home full time and then had to reinvent myself. And that's why I'm in this entrepreneurial space. But I love that for anyone wanting to shift and pivot and start. There's so much uncertainty now, right? So you're just such a great role model for all women to step into this entrepreneurial space. And anyone that needs help learning how to be a better storyteller and not be intimidated on LinkedIn, reach out to Sarah.
come see me. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm always hanging out on LinkedIn. You can always find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're always there. You do such a great job. And I know another fun fact too is that you don't brag about it much, but you are you have won an Emmy, correct, with your reporting. And you really are gifted, Sarah. I mean, I love words, but the way you do it, you take really complicated things and make it so simple and you make it so captivating. And I love reading your posts, even though I'm not in news. I just love what you report.
The
Like,
stories, yeah.
yeah, they're so good. So and I love it too that you always you're coming from a story place and authenticity, you're not just pitching and selling,
That's
you
right.
know?
Well,
You're out there really trying to help people.
and I think when anybody writes from the heart and writes their story, you will naturally attract others, right? You just
Yeah,
will. You don't
yeah,
have to always have a call to action at the end. If you want more information, reach out to me or comment link and I'll try. No, no, that's just, again, that stuff belongs over on Instagram.
yeah.
LinkedIn, you can be yourself and you can do it differently.
I love that. Well,
Mhm.
before we close, because I know you've got a hard stop here, do you have any closing thoughts other than all the magic that you just dropped in here, all the golden nuggets? You always can take so much and put it in like that. Like, that's another cool thing about you. Like, it's amazing.
You're so funny. I would say not to be intimidated by LinkedIn.
Mm,
because I thought for the longest time, like, "Oh, there's no way I'll ever figure it out." There's nothing
Mm,
to figure out. If you go on and you're authentically you and you connect with people who you think, "Gosh, either I can help them or
yep.
maybe there's something I can learn from them," connect with them, reach out to them,
Mm,
and then start posting and sharing your story. It will
mm.
work, but you gotta be consistent and keep that Jiffy Pop going.
Oh, I love it. Well, we're going to end on that note. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Just thank you for being a great role model in my life. Thank you for taking me on as a client and letting you take your course there. I learned so much. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Big hugs and many blessings.
Thanks, Terry. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a few key takeaways that you can apply to your life. So just a fun fact and key takeaway from me, not only is Sara just amazing, but I say everyone should interview a newscaster. This is one of the few podcasts that I didn't have to edit anything. It's been the easiest episode I've ever done. All right, that's it. Have a great day. And if you don't mind, take a few moments and leave a review. That lets other women know that we're here making a difference in your life and theirs as well. Until we meet again, God bless.